All right. Hey, everyone. That's the second time that's happened. I have to say, not a big fan of being told like when I'm getting into a conversational flow and then all of a sudden I get cut off because the software says, "Okay, your time's up." So yeah, thank you for those of you who are coming back in. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about it. When you decide to enter into a particular meditation system, or if you just sit down and you just want to explore meditation, maybe you just want to help to calm your thoughts down. You know, if you're going to go down the spirituality track, because you can meditate without being spiritual, and this type of thing, that could be elaborated on to some quite a bit. But when it comes to I'm going, you know what? I want to explore a system. How do you know what system to explore? And I think for myself, after having a look around, at some point, I think I'll probably end up going down the track of Buddhistic teachings because there's something about that appeals to me. But for now, there's certain skills I can develop that are very relatable. There's that word again, relatable, right? And, a book like this, Initiation into Hermetics, which is basically like your engineering 101 book to meditation, um, you know, but it's more than that because it's a book about training magicians. And you can go through the book and you'll be able to make sense of the exercise. You kind of got to write them out, though. It's really good to map out your practice because then you can see how things lead into other things. And you can see, well, do I need to make a wax doll of myself or something like this? How important is that? Thank you, everyone, for joining back in. Welcome, everyone. This is more that we just did a big, like, nearly 2-hour session with Philip Harris-Smith, and then the stream ended, so I'm just back in. I just want to say, too, if you haven't, go to philrice.substack.com, go check that out. All the stuff's up there as well, and it's on podcast and this and that and the other thing. So thank you so much. So when you kind of step into a system, especially one that's been around for a bit, it's got some tenure. You'll find that you'll find a bunch of things that it can help to encourage that. And one of those things is that in the modern age with the internet, we have these support systems of communities, Facebook groups, and these types of things. And that's very helpful because when you have questions, there's already a bunch of people who are a lot further down the track. And this is very helpful for, let's just put that magic wand a bit smaller, because you're going to have questions and you're not sure about things and you read the book and you're still not sure. But there's people in the community that can assist. The other thing that's available is that there will be materials that you can obtain to help fatten out your understanding of what it is you're about to embark on. And if you're going down the initiation into Hermetics pathway, this is very valuable because there's a lot of things to do. One of our friends and colleagues, Bob Smith at 60 Skills, he nails it in the name of his YouTube channel and his website, 60 Skills. That's a roundabout figure. It's a nice, easy one that's easy to remember. And this is what we're up for here. We're laying out a pathway, and it starts with very simple things. Well, they seem simple. It doesn't mean they're easy, right? But with all the information available, I've actually got to say right now, there are so many great teachers. It's almost like there's too many good teachers in some ways. And so it can be a bit challenging knowing where to start with all this. When I'm exploring out there and seeing what people are talking about, you kind of get to the point where it's like a lot of stuff has already been said. However, the value I get from exploring people who are covering familiar territory is that they will have an updated language set with more, here's that word again, relatable kinds of words and metaphors and analogies that will help you to grok and assimilate the information, faster. because this book was written a long time ago by a person in a different language and a different set of circumstances and a different cultural context and these types of things. And so some of it, you might be like, well, I'm not sure about that. And to be fair, I'd like to think that although it's quite dense, it's just it's a set of instructions. There's not so much philosophy involved as it is just sort of like do this, then this, then this, then this. So there's plenty of stuff out there, but can be a bit overwhelming as well. But I just keep coming back to the book. And, the person who I found this work through was teacher Mark Rasmus, or Sifu Mark Rasmus. And I fully encourage everyone to go check out that channel. Actually, I'll make a quick plug for the bro, because he's actually running a Qigong course at the moment in Thailand. Sifu Mark Rasmus. Mark is... and I'd love to meet Mark one day. I've had email communication with him and that, and I know a few of his students, and I met some of them here on the channel too. But he is so generous with his information. So you can check him out on YouTube. He has a very big library of stuff on YouTube, and then he has his paid content, and a lot of it's on the. You don't even need to really go to his paid content, but you can't help yourself. Once you get onto his channel and you start exploring his stuff, there's stuff on the paid channel that, it's definitely worth the cash. So yeah, I fully encourage people to check that out, because he'll give you a whole different spin and understanding. And he's been teaching this stuff for about 3 decades, and quite blessed actually, I feel, to have discovered this work through him, because he's given, if I had just found the book, I may not have clicked with it as much. And he presented it in a way that, it's fun and exciting, and it's a lot more. I think it's a little more playful than maybe the austere tone in the book, which certainly still has its value. All right, so we've got some comments in the audience. Let's have a look here. Oh, hello, Frazzle Bacon. Thank you for joining us. Yes, no, it's all good out here. And Charlie, sorry, he says, no, that was the chat. Thank you, Frazzle Bacon. Yeah, no, life's good. There's a lot going on. I've just started making I'm getting down to making some more of my own content that's not just random live streams and interviewing guests. And so, yeah, a bit of an announcement here. I'm going to be sort of pulling back. I haven't done much in the last couple of weeks. I interviewed David Paul Coleman on Sunday, I think it was last week. If you haven't checked that one out, I've made a snippet of his astrological predictions. It's about 10 minutes long, and that is definitely worth checking out. But the whole interview was just great, man. David's a wonderful speaker. He's very experienced with Hermetics, and he's an exceptional astrologer. And his ability to articulate things in a sort of very agreeable way, I think, that's understandable, that you can get. He's good. He's good like that. You can tell he's not just making stuff and putting it out there. He's got an incredible website, astralvisions.wordpress.com. That it's so much content. He reckons there's something like 1 million words on there, I think. But because he deals with he trains people and works with people one-to-one, he teaches magicians and help magicians out. He's, especially through the Franz Baden tradition, but he's an astrologer. So he's working with people and talking about very personal things. So he's just wonderful to talk to. So, I really recommend that interview that I did with David. He's such a lovely guy. And we're going to have him on again. And we may even have something a little bit extra special to share, something similar to what we did with Philip today, talking about pop culture and the intersection there. And even just, as a lifestyle conversation, we're people here. I grew up with computers and games and fun stuff. I didn't come to meditation and spirituality until, I was going to church and that, but it was a different kind of experience. I didn't come to these types of more, to being more serious about it until much later in life, once I'd got a few things out of my system. Rock and roll, working a corporate job, getting so drunk and doing silly things, these types of things. But one thing that continues is my love for immersive storytelling. And I love listening to people talk about the elements of good storytelling, and because they sometimes make the best referrals for watching things. I can't, it's funny. Back in the day, I've never really been into like horror movies, and I have watched a few in the time, but I don't know. They never really sort of stuck me. Even creepy stuff. Like I liked, I guess I like sci-fi kind of horror stuff a little bit. Like something that's what would you call it? Tension, drama, and tension. Action movies maybe more. But as far as like the modern offerings go, I still find myself referring back to a lot of stuff I enjoyed as a kid, things like Indiana Jones and Star Wars. I don't really connect a lot with the modern Star Wars, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. But I've got to say, if you haven't seen it and you like Star Wars and you're not really enjoying the Disney Star Wars that's out at the moment, that's coming out, the pipe is readily dropping stuff if you pouring forth content. The TV show, the Disney Star Wars TV show Andor, Andor. If you haven't seen that, that's quite different to a lot of the other Star Wars stuff coming out. It's funny. All the stuff, it's like Marvel. A lot of stuff falls under the brand of Marvel or the Avengers or Star Wars, but you'll find within that realm, you'll find that some stuff is family and some stuff is definitely not for kids. I question some of that stuff because there should be clear delineation there, because some of the stuff that I've come across, even on the TV shows and that, it's quite disturbing stuff, considering, you go and watch The Avengers, which is like generally a pretty kind of family-friendly series of movies, and then you watch something like series 2 of Loki, and some of the stuff in there, man, there's some dark stuff. But anyways, but just referring back to things that, really brought forth that childlike sense of magic and wonder. And then that can help to fuel your enthusiasm and energy for your practice too, because chances are you've had some amazing dreams and some incredible experiences, and you're looking to learn more about those things, and you draw a great sense of energy and enthusiasm and joy from those experiences, and you're wanting to fatten them out in your life, and find the value in them. And is it worth exploring further? Some of us we just can't help ourselves. Like Philip was saying, you get to a certain point where it seems like there's no turning back. This is part of your life now. I've really, truly, honestly tried to go back to doing some of the mundane things that I used to do, and they just friggin' grate me. I can't help it. It's like, I do put myself into some situations to test my resilience, though, as well, because I want to stay cool and calm under adverse conditions, or what I might call adverse conditions. But like the Buddha says, nirvana is the release of attachment, aversion, and delusion. So what am I averse to? There's some things I know I don't need to go back into, but sometimes I like a reminder from time to time to go, oh yes, that thing. I remember this. I'm good, thanks. But yeah. What's everyone up to? Anyone got any questions? Anyone want to hit me up about anything that's going on? What have I been talking about? So I've started making some of my own content again, some instructional type theory kind of videos. I've been exploring this new, this new streaming software. It's actually really customizable and versatile for making stuff. So I've been making slides. Not interactive ones. They're interactive for me in a sense, but I've got a section of one almost complete, but I won't say anything more about that. I'll just drop it like I do. I'll probably go a bit wider as well. I really want to start getting into Reiki more. I think I'm going to crank that. I've had some people who have found me through the channel, and Reiki hasn't really been something I've put a lot of focus on. I talk about it because it's my profession, and that as a teacher and a practicer. But I'd like to talk about how the Barden book feeds nicely. In fact, not just that one, but this one too. This one especially. Well, actually, yeah, they're both highly valuable, but this one here is quite an exceptional book. If you haven't discovered this book, that can make this one here. it's like you're changing your point of your destination focus. You're not focused on trying to finish this. It's more like you're thinking about this because this is like wow. This is wow too. But and of course, don't forget our big phone book friend here. This is another wonderful book, of course. But sometimes you can become too fixated on what's in front of you, and you can't see the forest for the trees, if you know what I mean. So it's good to keep exploring. So I want to talk about the opportunities that lay within this framework for Reiki practices. And also, I really want to talk about dream work too, because dream work's a lot of fun. And I've basically got a kind of a mini curriculum set out for exploration and just understanding, because there are certainly practices and exercises you can do to induce, desirable sort of dream experiences. But once you kind of have a look at some ways of how to read the dream environment, some frames of reference, some models that you can use to help understand the makeup, then this can help you get greater value. Because it's one thing to have the experience and write it down, or just to have the experience and go, wow, that was cool. But there's information present in those experiences that has a useful value to it. And there's things that can be pointed out, that you can seek to observe, and then information will present itself. It's a deeper aspect of yourself that can go, oh, you're paying attention. Okay. I think, who was it? I think it was Freud. Might have been Freud. No, it wasn't Freud. It was someone else. Said something like, a dream is like a gift, and you can open it if you want. And if you open the gift or the letter, it's like a letter. Then the postman goes, oh, you're reading the letters, or the person making it, the dream poet, as I like to call it, sees that you're reading it. And it's like, oh, I'll send you some more then. I have to say, though, got real serious into dreams for years, and it actually became almost tyrannical because, you get so good at dream recall that you're able to write pages and pages and pages a day. I recall doing about 9 to 10, 12 pages a couple of times. And my recall got so good that I could actually just leave it for the week and then do all my dream recording at the end of the week. So some detail may have been lost, and obviously some things can change as well. But, even dream recall can help you with memory recall. And so, the old practice of going backwards through your day before you go to sleep at night. It's a similar kind of thing. You're learning how to, I guess, take ownership of your experience more by recalling it, because you're placing a value on what has happened to help guide you about how to move forward in some ways too. And so by writing this down, I tell you what, writing stuff down, that's another thing I've got to do. Just make a note of that. I'll make a video on journaling. There's a type of mindset you can get into when you're journaling, and the dividends they pay pretty quickly from my experience. And when you're doing, you're just writing things down. You're writing things down objectively. As in, this happened. You just write down what you witnessed, so to speak, and then you can go back through. Like for dream journaling, this is a great one. You write down what happened, and then you go back down and you write about how it felt. It's almost like you're observing the mental experience of I noticed this, 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 and this. I may have smelt, felt, heard, saw, whatever. And then you go, and then my astral body, if you want to put it like that, then my felt response, your emotional response was this. And that is another layer of information that can help you understand it. Because you could have a dream about one person on Friday night and then a dream about the same person the following night, and the emotional response is completely different. The first experience, there may be no emotional response. The second one, there is. And there's a reason for that. And it's highlighting your response to things, which is why dream work I found to be very valuable in the mirror work. Because your dreams will shine light on things that you may not want to be brought up to your attention, or you may just be denying it, or you may be dismissing it as not being important. But the fact that you're not really paying attention to it doesn't reduce the sort of the importance of it as far as your development goes. And so the dream environment, I mean, if you're into lucid dreaming, right? And you get up and you're in a dream and you become lucid and you're like, oh wow, okay, I'm awake in my dreams. You can go off flying, you can go and and go and find someone nice to have a cozy moment with. You could learn a skill set. Apparently, Arnold Palmer, the golfer, he perfected his swing in lucid dreaming. People practice speeches. They can use lucid dreaming to, if you've got a confronting situation that you have to deal with, like you have to go and talk to your boss and say, hey, man, about that pay rise you keep fobbing me off on, well, I'm not mucking around now. Let's get down, Or if you've got to talk to someone about something, have a challenging conversation, you can do some practice in the dream environment. And that can help to diffuse any anxiety or tension. So it's a very therapeutic tool that I've found. And but another great use for lucid dreaming that I'd never even considered of is dialoguing with the environment. What do I mean by this? So you're in a lucid dream and you're going, okay. And then you ask something like, what's the most important thing that I need to work on? And then watch what shows up. And yes, it will probably be symbolic, but generally speaking, it'll be literal enough or that to make sense of it, And if you don't want metaphor or this might be not the best way to go, but if you don't want it too symbolic or too cryptic, you say something like, tell me the most important thing I need to pay attention to that's easy for me to understand. So you're talking to yourself and you want the dream poet or the dream provider or the environment provider to have clear instruction. And I think that's part of this path as well, is that, or something that will aid you on this path, is becoming adept at articulation and explaining. Now, you may notice that when I'm doing interviews with people, especially like, say, the Bard Inn, or even that last one I did with David Paul Coleman, I'm a shocker. I do lots of and ahhing. I forget to practice pausing and then just creating a space there. I've done a lot of public speaking in the past where I wouldn't do those types of things. Maybe it's just a situation. It's fine, whatever. But your ability to articulate and clearly define and specify what it is you are seeking to know and understand and do will aid you greatly, because the more it makes sense to you, the less of you there is trying to figure stuff out. Those resources are now on task. And so you're not using them to try and make sense of things. And that's quite valuable. And so journaling and good journaling, objective writing, I did this and then this happened. And then you can speculate if you wish, and you can do these types of things. But a great skill to have is exploring the value of synonyms and antonyms, because even though two words that are synonyms may be similar, they also have their own kinds of, there's a lot of there's that old Venn diagram, like where the two circles intersect, like a Vesica Pisces, and two synonyms will share a lot of the same words or meanings, but then they'll have their own unique kinds of meanings as well. And this is a good skill to have, because your ability to describe things and have a wide palette, like a painter's palette of colors, but replace colors with words. Some words are going to be more appropriate than others. And the wider the range of vocabulary you have, the more you can pinpoint on what you say. And this is very good, especially if you find yourself wanting to start writing books or creating materials as a teacher for others. If you've ever read a paragraph in a book and somebody uses the same word 3 times, it's like it can kind of switch the reader off a bit because there's repetition, and it doesn't keep them alert. If you keep people engaged, novelty is quite important. And that's why, after years of teaching music, there were some music books that kept the students engaged. There were certain teaching styles I would adopt that kept them engaged. And there were certain books and methodologies and things that just put them to sleep, turned them off, and they didn't go home and practice. So have you tried using mugwort to enhance your dreams? Yes, I have. And I did it the wrong way. And I'm going to say, if you're going to drink mugwort tea, make sure you know what you're doing, because that messed me up. It made me very ill and unwell. And before you try any of these things, get learnt, get good, because I had a very unpleasant experience that went on for a long time because I didn't read the details. I just jumped into it. But yeah, you can smoke mugwort. You can put it under your pillow. If you're going to induce or imbibe something, you got to be careful, man. So there's other ways to use these things where you don't actually have to take them in, and there's varying degrees of potency. But I will say this, when you are doing dream work and you start bringing in other ways and things, you will find the dreams will take on, like if you get used to having, like, let's say you just do a month of dream journaling and you're not doing any dream incubation, and you're not setting intentions. You're just like, hey, just send me a dream. And you just write that down for a week or a month, whatever. You get kind of used to what you might call normal dreams are. Right? What's a normal dream? What's the everyday garden variety dream that you experience? And then there's these ones that are like really different, where you might meet some interesting characters that you have conversations with. And, you get to know the difference between a dream character and a visiting friend or otherwise. The nature of the dream environment feels different sometimes. It's more crisper and vivid. Sometimes the garden, like I say, the garden variety everyday dreams, that maybe you kind of struggle to find usefulness in because it's like you can't make sense because it's too cryptic, whereas some dreams are like hyper vivid and you remember them and you may wake up really tired or energized, and that like something is trying to get through to you and you feel so compelled to write it down. But if you do a bunch of, like, getting into the dream journaling process means that you get to understand your dream landscape. And of course, hot tip for doing dream journaling, record what phase the moon is. I have I'll show you. I'll show you how I set up my dream journal, or even my normal journal. Like, say I might, I'll just draw a picture on here. 28th September. This is not going to be calendar correct, by the way. I just want to say. So what I might do is, I don't know if you can see that, but I'll put that up in the corner. I'll put the moon phase. I'll put the day of the week identified by the symbol. So that's the moon for Monday, and then the date and the month. And then I might even put the day number down, like day 236 or something. And then, what's the other one? I might put the week number down. And so I'll put down these points. I'll also put down like the current rising sign. So I think at the moment we're in Libra. And I mean, that's going into levels of granularity for later on, when you're looking at, like, you're standing back and looking at a big picture. I got a pile of dream journals, maybe like this. I tell you what I did used to do. When I started getting serious about dream journaling, I used to have one journal and I'd put my dreams in it. And then what I did was I separated them. I'd have a normal journal and a dream journal. And then and that was fine. And then they kind of drifted back into each other because I was just getting really busy and I just wanted to sit down with one book and write it all. But later on, I guess the bonus of having 2 books running, and sometimes you might have 3, 4, 5 books running sometimes, is that because you generally write your dreams out first thing in the morning and then you'll do your normal journaling. You're fresh out of the dream state, so you write down some fragments, or you might sit down with your coffee or whatever, or do your meditation first. But generally, you want to write down the bits first because you can forget them. Is that then you do your normal journaling, whatever, maybe during the day, whatever, and then you go back and you can compare them side by side, and you can start to see relationships there. It depends how much you want to geek out on this stuff because there's a lot of stuff to play with. I mean, even Philip and I talking before, I mean, we covered tarot, different tarots, path working systems, Golden Dawn, Enochian. We were talking about games and the interplay between that and science fiction. And, if you go back to some of the science fiction writers, you'll see that they had, great example, L. Ron Hubbard from the Church of Scientology was a science fiction writer. Philip K. Dick had an experience, and that changed his kind of writing style as well. Here's another one. What do we got? Fraser Bacon. Okay, you've used mugwort in the tablet form. Yeah, okay, yep. So that'll be a measured, like a dosage size. It's probably, that's the way to do it. I'd love to hear how you got on with that, brother. Let us know. So as far as like the play opportunity and the value opportunity, like if we just get down to it, the value opportunity in dreaming is that, in lucid dreaming, and I haven't met anyone that does it like every day, and I don't think it's healthy to do it every day. I've heard some people talk about a lucid dream tank that you have to fill up. You're better off to have like one really high quality experience, maybe once a week or like even once a month. You can sort of put it on the full moon, and you can make a moon ritual, and you can even do it over a few days. I mean, I've come across systems where the night before the full moon, the night of the full moon, and then the day after the full moon. And then you set an intention leading up to that, guided meditations, whatever. Sometimes you'll do it in 5s, or, one guy was even like 7. So, the odd number is the day in the middle is the full moon, and then the 3 days leading up and the 3 days after. And you'll find that you'll have a lot of dreams. They'll be very different, but they'll all be pointing towards and talking about and elaborating on and extrapolating upon the same concept, principle, idea you've put into it, but it'll paint it in different ways because, you'll be writing the stream down and go, I have no idea what this is saying. I can kind of see it. And then, the dream poet's like monitoring your response to what you're writing down and going, okay, I need to tighten this up. I need to change the wording. Because believe it or not, it's actually trying to help you. It's trying to share information, give you angles and perspectives that are useful to you, right? And then the next night you'll have a dream. There may be some characters or models or objects, symbols, whatever that carry over, but they're displayed differently. And then it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of see it. And then the dream poet's going, oh, okay, all right, I'm on the right track. Okay, let's try rewriting this. The other one is that you can load up dream symbols. You can create your own symbol dictionary, which is a big job, but it's good because you get to see, and you also get to form agreeable relationships. There's a handshake process that goes on. You build a language bridge between you and the dream poet, and you both agree that this is a cup. Okay, and a cup's for drinking out of in the real world, but a cup in the dream world might be something that it's a vessel for holding water or fluids, an emotional concept. You find, a lot of dream dream dictionaries, and they are useful. They get a lot of shtick because people become hyper reliant on dream dictionaries because that might not be your experience, and what the relationship somebody has to a yellow umbrella is going to be different to someone who's never seen one or got beaten with it as a child, essentially. So what's in that dream dictionary might not count. But what you can do is a dream dictionary can give you an insight into symbolism in your dream environment. So it's not so much that when you see that thing, the dream dictionary says this means that. It's more like, how is that association made? And we were talking about this in the other stream just before with Philip. We're talking about the system of correspondences and associations we build up as, in this case, say, as magicians. In the book, say, by Aleister Crowley, Liber 777, we have a system of things that relate to each other, like the fire element is red, or with the planet Jupiter, we associate this herb and this perfume and maybe this tarot trump or this tarot card, or there's a bunch of associations. We could even call this the law of analogy. They're related to each other and there's a reason for that relationship. But it also extends to the point where, if you're building up your color scale for your elemental association, so you got fire, air, earth, and water. If I walk down the main street and I said, okay, and I said, what color would you associate with fire? I mean, it's going to be pretty unanimous. I think most people are going to say, well, red or orangey red. Pretty standard, right? The other three, they can be different. If I said, what about the air element? They'd be like, Now, if I follow the Golden Dawn system, I think they base that on a Gripper's Queen scale, without getting into details. It's a yellow in Golden Dawn, isn't it? Some systems will use light blue to represent the sky. Some will just be clear, it's empty, but that can be hard to visualize. So if you have a color, you set it to that. And then, of course, what's earth? Some people say black or dark green or gold or brown. Or you could even just go outside and use the environment that you're in. Then the magic becomes closer to home. You have a relationship with it, to your environment. And then it starts to become something more grounded in the real world. Because if you read it out of a book and it says, put this color to it, it's like, well, earth and the physical analog representation of earth where I'm from is like it's like the earth around here is like a dark brown, where in some countries it might be a light brown, in some countries it might be red, and you develop your own system of correspondences. And I think using the actual environment that you're in, if you're traveling a lot, that obviously may not work. So, but when I'm teaching this stuff, I say to people, go and have a look outside. They've got to make sense, and it's helpful if they're grounded, I think. And I don't want to put absolutes on it, but you want to get going, eh? You don't want to be wasting time. And so, we'll work with existing models, and then as that flowers and opens up, we can see there's a bit of flexibility to innovate and make it more relatable, as I like to continuously say. So, having these... anyway, back to the dream conversation, because this is really cool. Because I think one of the sort of the forgotten sort of treasured aspects of dreaming is that it's a pretty low-hanging fruit on the tree. You can hit it straight away. You can have dreams tomorrow if you want, pretty much, maybe a couple of days. I don't think you need any more than that. If you're using alcohol or cannabis, this will affect your REM cycles, which is when you're most likely to recall your dreams. And so that can upset your ability to recall things. We've got a question here. If the color doesn't matter for element training, is the sound important? Well, if that's getting into Kabbalah, okay. I'm going to use the frame of reference of the Barden works. So I'm not saying that the color doesn't matter. I think what you'll find is that as you develop your perceptual capabilities, like if you're adhering to a system, you're better off to go with that. I've got to be careful because I don't want to be contradicting myself. I have a clean message to send here, and that is that The sound is a little bit different. I've heard teachers talk about, and I'll talk about my own experience in a moment. There's the and if you like, for example, if we use this, right, there is a very specific set of associations in this book. If you're using the letter W, it's a lavender color, sorry, a lilac color, and it is cool. And, it's a woo sound or a ver sound, ver, okay? Now, there are other systems of Kabbalah around this planet as well, from different cultural systems. And I've heard Bob from 60 Skills talk about this, the green of the letter G that someone experiences, say in, I don't know, in Norway or in South America somewhere, may be different to the experience of the green that I have here in New Zealand. And, I have to say, my visual experience of the letter G, it's green and it incorporates the color that's mentioned in here and what I've seen some other people share, but I've seen variation on the color. There's variation on the tone, and there's variation on the now as far as the pronounced letter go, because I've mentioned this before in one of my earlier videos when I first started this channel up when I was doing KTQ Step 2 training, was that excuse me, I just need to have a quick drink of water. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about variations. Yep. So there's the sound. Like if you think about an orchestra, okay? Now, they can all play the same note. Like on a guitar, it might be like, there's an E. Da, E, la. Now, that is the note or the frequency, okay? Now, each one of the instruments in the orchestra can play that, and it will sound different, and that is the voice. The instrument has its own unique voice. Like a violin sounds different to a clarinet, for example, but they can both produce that sound, and the voicing is different. And so there's the tone. You'll see, in fact, hang on. I made this chart for you guys. It's on the community post somewhere. I really need to get my website sorted out. My website got hacked. My email got hacked. It's been, and I can't get hold of the peeps, and it's a bit frustrating because it's my professional email. But I made this chart. It's on the community tab on the YouTube channel, and what you'll find is that some letters share the same note or the same tone, I should say, but like if we find the E, where's the E? Oh, that's right. Yes, there's only 10 tones from the Western musical scale used in KDQ. Isn't that interesting? There's also 10 spheres on the Sephiroth, on the Tree of Life. And if you read Andre Conscientious or listen to him, he talks about saying, well, basically, each frequency or musical note is associated with a Sephiroth. So, like the bottom one here, I believe, is associated. Andre associates it with the zone girdling the earth, or the earth zone, Malkuth, in a sense. And the next one is Yesod, and up from there. But what I'm saying is that the voicing, like the different instruments, could be like the letters in a sense. You might be making the same note, okay, in this case, let's use an A. Okay, who else uses the A? Okay, so that's an A, the note of A, 440 or 432. Now you can recreate that the notes, the letters of B, H, and N all use that tone according to Barden's third book. But when it comes out, there's B, H, N, okay, and there may be a little bit left and a little bit right. I've heard Mark Erasmus talk about this, and he has a very different system of teaching Kabbalah. He which is funny in some ways because I've listened in on some lectures, and he's basically saying, look, you might experience the letter Y differently to the person sitting next to you. You may hear it in a different tone, see it in a different color. It may be a different elemental felt quality even. And I'm kind of coming at this from like, there are some rails that you put yourself on when you trust in a training system, and then there's this kind of flexibility and room to move a little bit, because it's like, yeah, that's the same exercise over in this system, and I can see how they're the same, but I can also, and you kind of, you don't want to get too far off track. That's why I think that if you're going to follow a system like Mark Rasmus, been teaching it 30 years. I know some of his students, and they're all sane and do well for themselves, And so I got a level of trust in the way that he presents it, and he doesn't present it in an orthodox fashion. He trains clairsentience, and he, strips it out a little bit. You make wax dolls if you want to make wax dolls, but with the Kabbalah and the letters and the elements and things like that, it's like, well, let's just use some pretty standard-ish colors. But you got to remember, a lot of these are reference points or starting points on a, and it's like, here's yellow. But even Barden says it in the book. The yellow that you think of might sound a bit different, might look a bit different to the yellow that someone else is thinking of. The lemon yellow. My green, the sky that I'm looking at might be a slightly different hue because of how I perceive the world. The way I hear things will be different. I've damaged my hearing as a musician. There's some frequencies I can hear, but they're quite painful, or maybe I can't pick them up quite as well as I used to. The range has shrunk a little bit. I was going to say, guys, if you're a young person and you're playing in a rock band right now, you want to get some good quality earplugs, not like industrial ones, but some, spend $20 and get a pair of those. They look like pine cone type things, and you put them in. They don't kill all the frequencies, but they'll take the dangerous ones off, especially if you're on a stage and you've got a drummer here and his crash cymbals there and he's smashing it and it's like right next to your ear. That's one piece of wisdom I can pass on, is look after your hearing, especially if you're playing in a loud band with a loud drummer. But I think what you'll find is that these three, like the 3 sense concentration exercises that Barden gives you, he gives you a letter, and then he gives you there's a way that letter is pronounced. And that is the exploration you will undertake into phonetic articulates. Articulatory phonetics, or how something's pronounced. Just learn it. It's based on the German language. I just started learning about it through, studying, the German language and all their letters and things, because that's what it's based on. And of course, then you've got Ray Del Sol's work, and he goes into a lot of detail about this as well. So there's a lot of resources there. But to answer your question, the sound, I think, and Martin Folks commented on one of my videos and said, well, if you've got developed clairaudience, the sound will become apparent to you. And which is interesting, because that's a good contemplation. However, Barden gives you a reference point as far as the tone goes. And so I'm not sure how those two fold together, but perhaps you will you'll become endowed with the sound. And I think too, after talking with Philip as well, is that this journey for all of us is so unique. We're going to get helped out along the way. We're going to get little nudges and prods and things put in front of us that we can pay attention to or not. And I have to say, there are some things that have been presented to me, like in a dream environment where somebody's shown me a book and I haven't done a due diligence on it. And it's almost like screw you, I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm not sure how that's taken. And that wasn't my intention. But it's like, you'll get presented with things and they're worth paying attention to, even just to discover whether or not they're actually worth your time in that, right? But, to answer your question, Doug, the color does kind of matter, because you want to set up a solid, relatable thing. Like over here in New Zealand, the water, it's not so much blue as it is green. And so, the greeny blue of the water here is a logical step. Like if I was living over on the islands where the water's a lot clearer, I mean, I'd probably go for a blue over there. In the tropical islands and things like that. There's coral and it looks blue, What I would do for air is something else. I may take on a yellow or something like that, like the Golden Dawn or a different type of blue. But you want to have some clear kind of separations, Um, yeah, when it comes to your question though, Doug, I would say just read through that section in part 2 of Barden's Key to the True Kabbalah, if that's what you're referencing, and if you're reading that presently. And he talks about it. He's given you a starting point, and it could be left or right of that. It could be up the scale or down the frequency scale. It could be a richer yellow or a lighter yellow. It could be a really cold or just a cool kind of cold, these types of things. So you want to have this flexibility. And that's a lot of what this training is. It's about developing flexibility and pliability of the 3 bodies that you can apply your will to produce these effects. Like when you're doing element training, and you're trying to, feel cold. There's an intensity that you can pack, which is what he does through accumulation and condensation. So just explore it, is the best advice I can give. See if you can get good at it. I mean, I've got a couple other things I could share on this. I've got some KTQ videos. I've got one on the visual metaphor that might be worth checking out. See if I can. Let's see if I can bring it up actually, because I've got it right here. Let's go there. Do. Okay, here we go. Videos. All right, I'm going to share the screen. Share. Because we're all about sharing here, right? Sharing is caring and all that. All right, let's go for that one there and then that one there. Okay, here's my wonderful YouTube channel, and I'll drop the question away. And I think I'll just ditch the logo, to be fair. Ba-ding, there we go. Okay, so if I scroll down, all the way down, you'll see I've got a bunch of videos here. And one of them is this visual metaphor. It's the one where I'm wearing the hat. And this one here is it basically gives you the 3 senses laid out in a horizontal fashion, and I've put them onto a machine. So let's just pull up the video and I'll stop it. And so what I've got here is that this is the tripolar tuning. So I've kind of turned it into like a set of guitar pedals or something like this. And I'll just move myself out of the way. No, not that one. Anyway, that'll be fine. So basically you have your fire pole, or your visual experience of the energy frequency of the letter. And you've got, blue and green and, the usual colors. And obviously the colors mentioned in KTQ are not representative of the rainbow spectrum completely, because there's pink and, gold and black, which could appear, but they're not in our obvious spectrum. And then you've got, the air pole, the tone, and then you've got the water, the sensation of the experience. And then, of course, so these are knobs that you turn. So let's say you want to do the letter G. So let's see, the letter G is green. So I would turn this knob to green. And then the air, what's the letter G? The letter G is the note of F. So I'd flick that one to an F. And then the letter G is a water letter. And so I would switch that to cool or cold. And those would be my starting points. And then what happens is that you'd have a couple of other knobs underneath each one, and you would use those to fine tune it. How on this for the visual one, how bright is the yellow? And so with you're working the flexibility of your mind's eye to create the color yellow. Can you create a lemony one and a deeper, richer one? And so you're almost creating you start off with block presets. Chink, 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 chink. You've got maybe 4 options of a yellow. Maybe you've looked at a color palette. And then with time, the idea is that you can turn the knob. It becomes less of a click, 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 click preset and more of a continuous dial, like a slider that reduces or increases the darkness or the brightness or the richness or the change of the hue and the saturation. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Like some of the stuff is more than what you need, but it's fun to think about it this way because you can kind of see how you can make it work. We're using like I said, a machinery based metaphor here. Or it's analogous to a machine anyway. And then, of course, the fine tuners on the air pole would be more like, say the volume or the, I guess the nature of the tone. Is it a sharp tone? Like, for example, if I grab my guitar here, like here's the note of A. Okay. And if I made that on a piano, it would sound different. It would be a different voicing. But the idea is that we grasp the frequency. That's why it's good to train your voice. La, la, la. Good to learn to sing a scale. La, 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 la. Yes, a bit of warm-up is always good. But then, of course, you have octaves as well. And so you have a high A and a low A. And then, of course, there's the way that it's the letter or the sound that it's pushed through or voiced through. If we're using the note of A, like I said, it could be B for the letter B, for the letter H, and N for the letter N. Now, some of them, like the T and the K, which are these more of it like short staccato explosive, like is not really tonality, but it doesn't mean you can't explore tonality, because if you're sitting with the K and you're trying to, like, man, it's not working or it's not grokking or whatever, you might go, and it's more about the shape of your mouth that drives the tone, the quality and the pitch of the tone, because you're learning how to recreate pitch. So that dial there is a pitch dial. And then over on the sensation side, your fine tuners might be like, intensity, more cold, less cold, really floaty, less floaty, really dense and heavy and like crushing earth to, it's kind of heavy and dense, but it's not kicking my butt. So yeah, anyway, Doug, hopefully that sort of answers your question there, brother. If you're not sure about it, just throw another question back in. Excuse me. Now, oh, hello. Hello, Heather. It's lovely to see you here, sister. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always lovely to see Heather here. Thank you so much. The elephant one here I got from we have a shopping mall here that's all but closed down. It's an old shopping mall that we've had in our area for a long time, but it's on the way. It's on the way down. Unfortunately, we grew up there as kids, and it's pretty sad. But anyway, they have a beautiful shop there that sells all these amazing fabrics, singing bowls, and I think it's an Indian lady that owns it, and just amazing things. Definitely more for ladies, but lots of incense and candles. But I actually think they may have closed down now, which is really sad, because it was definitely one of the coolest shops in the mall. And this one here is from my neighbor up the road. This wonderful family lives up the road, and it's handmade in Peru, and it's absolutely stunning. Awesome. Yeah, nice one, Doug. And I'll tell you what, man, throw some feedback in if you've got any more questions too. And underneath that video, you might, I'd appreciate that, because if you can find any holes in my explanation, I appreciate it, because I've got to plug those. That's the job of the teacher. Or the instructor, or the person trying to share the information. I want to get my game tight. Nah, I mean, isn't it wild that termites chew out the didgeridoo to be a perfect pitch? I didn't know that. How interesting. I have some friends who would be aware of that. I might have to ask them about that. It's like, how do Tibetan singing bowls are another one. You've got this bowl, right? And it's hand beaten. Those ones that you see at the shops, they are made on a lathe, right? And they are tuned to a certain frequency, generally 440. Okay. Now, if you've watched one of my other streams where I brought up a video on cymatics and how you can sprinkle sand on a metal plate, run a tone through it, and it forms geometry, and then you change the frequency of the tone, and then the sand rearranges and becomes more complex pattern-wise, as you increase the frequency, as the numbers get higher, as the pitch increases. And I've seen cross-sections of three-dimensional cymatic geometries and that dolphins exude, and the shapes that they put out, and that's really interesting too. And but yeah, excuse me. So apparently what would happen is that the monks would fill the bowls with water, not just using them as to tap and for singing bowls, but they could fill them with water, and then they would chant over them. And then when they'd reach the correct pitch, the water would form a geometry or a shape that would indicate to them that they are at the correct pitch. And so there's a visual cue there to let them know that they were in the right neighborhood. That's what you want. You just got to know that you're in the right neighborhood. You want to shrink down your area of exploration so that, you can, you're closer to the target, so to speak. You're warmer rather than colder. Oh, wow. How cool is that? You're onto it. You got the 432 one. That's magic. Yeah, that's really cool. Have you played around with any of those crystal ones? Like, I've got some friends who've got them. They're really interesting. They're quite different. I don't know. They're probably a more of a modern play, I guess. I mean, I've seen there's crystal chimes and things like that too, but crystal singing bowls are quite interesting. 12 inches about that, eh? Well, that's a reasonable size one. Yeah, eh? I mean, I got to say, I went to this Bruce Lipton conference. I went to the Bruce Lipton conference back in 2015, and they had a full moon gong concert because that weekend was a full moon weekend. And we had this concert and this gong concert, and this couple had packed their car, and they've got, I think it was like a station wagon, and mid-size, not a huge one, and they filled this thing with all their traveling luggage and that, and I don't know how they fit everything in, because I don't think they stacked anything on the roof. But obviously, if you've got cymbals and gongs, they will kind of like sit on top of each other to an extent. But they had this rack, man, and they had these huge gongs and these smaller gongs. They had all these really weird instruments and sound creation type things, and it was so interesting. And I couldn't get a lay down spot. Like, they set all these blankets and big cushions and things up, and they would have you would basically lie down and have this, immersive experience. But I couldn't get one, so I had to get a chair. And so I'm sitting there with this chair, and they start banging the gong, and I get this wicked pain across my collarbone area, and it's like, man, it's really uncomfortable. It was actually a very bizarre experience, but I've had something happen a couple of 3 times. No, it's more than that, if I really get honest with it, but a couple of times really stood out. So once I started getting access to Akasha and noticing how that can change, the experience you're having. So I had a mate come over once. I hadn't seen him for a while, and he'd done a lot of world travel, and he's into like, hey, seriously, you guys are probably the same, maybe to a lesser extent, maybe to a greater extent. We got funky friends. They're into funky things. They got other funky friends. They got funky habits, and they do that. But they're good people with a good heart, and we hang out with them, and we give them time. And this is not about judgment, but when you get super sensitive, you start becoming more. There's more data to be aware of, and so I'm sitting in the room with this chap, and I'm in my own house. I'm comfy, and it's fine. I haven't seen him for ages. It's great to see the bro. And then I start getting this wicked pain across my collarbone again. I'm like, man, this is the same thing that happened back then, and it's really uncomfortable, and it's like, oh man. And then I just move into the Akasha and start doing some Akasha breathing into the room, and then instantly this thing just disappears, and then the whole room just goes, like this. He stayed over the night, and then the next day, he says he's had the best sleep he's ever had. I'm wondering if he had a hitchhiker or something like that. I don't know, man. But Yeah, this is it, right? So those singing bowls, I'm wondering if they like jarred something loose, because I know that certain traditions will use bells to clear an area as well, right? Sort of you go into the corners and the bells will sort of like the frequency will just dislodge things or jostle things, and so they can be more easily removed. And yeah, that was my experience with that. And yeah, it's happened a few other times too where I felt this. I've got a friend who he has an altar room and a lot of deities up there, and oh man, and there's a mixture of deities, and I'm not sure about the mix. I don't know if they all play nicely, but you go in there and you feel it. There's an impending kind of like you feel it, right? These things are, it's a sacred space, and there's the walls covered, and then there's an altar, and yeah, it's a big thing. But it can be overwhelming. But as soon as I drop into the purple, she's generally tickety boo. She's all good. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I say to you, look, that road to Akasha, in the first bunch of steps, really just man, there's a reason why Barden laid it out like he did. You really want to get access to this stuff because it's very things start to become. It's no joke, There's an actuality and a realness to it that's undeniable, and I think the gentle approach is a good one. Going too hard and fast with this stuff, you just it's like, hey, look, I got this flamethrower. I've never used a flamethrower before, and you just roast everyone, right? This is not a path for bravado, and that's why I like how the early stages of the book really place a great emphasis on character and personality development, like through the soul mirrors and that. And if you've been doing a lot of mindfulness training over the years, that will help a lot. It will help a lot because you won't have a lot of those things to deal with, because you want to make sure you get a lot of that stuff sorted out before you move forward. And then it's just a case of sort of setting the practice map out and surrendering to the practice. Haven't with a crystal bowl. Oh, okay. Yeah, I might have to go to one of these crystal bowl. I think they're a bit of a distance away, but they do regular singing bowl type things. I might have to go and check one out. Yeah, Lipton's story is really interesting, eh? I actually got to spend about an hour and a half in the car with this dude and having a chat to him, and he gave me some sort of behind the scenes info about things, and it was really interesting, eh? Like, he's done some travels. He doesn't talk about everything publicly, and I respect that, so I'm not going to share it. But yeah, he's had his own raft of experiences and continues to do so. But he's such a nice guy, and he's a scientist. He's like one of the brothers who's come from the academia, and he's trying to make sense of the world. So another great guy to check out if you haven't is Eben Alexander, and he wrote that book. Was it Proof of Heaven and Map of Heaven? And he's got oh man, if you guys are into binaurals, I'm not really doing them nowadays, but I've got to share this site with you because this is definitely one of the. I've did a lot of exploration to binaural beats. And I think it's .com. Let's just have a quick look. Oh, the rain's just started. Okay, .com, sacredacoustics.com. Is that the right one? Oh, yep, sweet. Let's just put that over here. And we'll throw that one. Okay, stop sharing. I'll just put it up on the screen here, I think. That'll be easier. If you're into binaural beats, these are probably the best ones on the market that I've found. I'm sure there's others, but this has been, he was a not a neurologist, neuroscientist, and himself and another lady created this incredible swathe of binaural beats, and there's a bit of Om chanting at the beginning, and they're very intelligently laid out. I've got heaps of them because I explored a whole bunch of different products back in the day. And these ones are so well crafted, and they're made with 432 hertz tones. But yeah, they've got some freebies on there too. You can totally go on there. There's heaps of videos, and they're really caring people, and they do lots of stuff. And there's free stuff you can sign up for, and it's just They're really generous, and they're a beautiful bunch of people. So I thoroughly recommend them. If you want to get into binaurals, guys, and explore the value of binaural beats, one thing I'll say about binaurals is that anything can become a crutch. Any tool can become a crutch, and that includes these. And ideally, we can get into the states that we desire without these. We can be dropped on a desert island, and we don't need any external implements. And that is ideal. Okay. Yeah, cool. All right. Let's see. Comments. I saw another couple here. Oh, Doug, you got another question here. Okay. Doing 60s master course. Oh, yep. So that's the 60 skills master course. I think you can get that on Perseus. And oh, man. Yeah, that's a very thorough course, that one. I haven't done it. I've got my own approach, but I really appreciate it. He's very generous. Okay. I'm not sensitive to spiritual things. Have you seen anyone do the hundreds of hours of elemental practice and not get self-transformation results? Just trying to make sense of the question. I'm not recalling. Are you saying that you haven't had results from doing the training yet? Is that what you're saying, bro? Are you still in the early phases? You just got to, I mean, I'll just say this, and I might be wrong. I might be reading it wrong, but you just got to do the grind. Things will start showing up. That's why I encourage people to, do a bit of dream journaling, because dreams are like subtle realms made real in a lot of sense, and you get stuff starting to show up. Hang on. Where are we? There it is there, Doug. sacredacoustics.com. sacredacoustics.com. Thoroughly recommend that one. But yeah, just to answer your question, so how it was explained to me, and I have to say this makes much more sense than it makes sense to me to frame it like this, is that we all have a life's purpose, and multitudes of them potentially as well. And there are certain skills that will help us to affect that life's purpose in the world. And some of those skills are going to arise as a result of doing these practices. And some of them are much closer to the surface than others. And so, the ones that are to do with our purpose or related to our purpose are going to arise a lot faster. Sooner. Like I said, they're closer to the surface. Some are much deeper down and require a lot more work. They're not as important. And if I think about my time as working as a healer, I was getting success with physical issues straight off the bat. At first time I did a healing, great results. Second time, awesome. Third, awesome. I mean, these were things that people were telling me, and they were really surprised at the outcome. They're like, going, that shouldn't happen, should it? Oh my gosh, And it's like, wow, okay, so this stuff works, well, there's something to it, because I'm dealing with a bunch of different people, and I'm not wanting them to blow smoke up my butt. I want them to give me honest feedback. And so I'm quizzing them. Are you sure? Phil, shaking me almost. Bro, I had that for 2 weeks. It's gone. I've had this for 1.5 years. It's gone. Hit him up the next day. Is it still gone? It came back a little bit, but it's only like this. I said, oh. And then they come back for another one. Zippity zap. Ring back the next day. Is it gone? It's gone. Wow. Okay. I think what you got to do, brother, is if you're not getting a satisfying result, talk to your teacher, express any concerns you have, and say, hey, I've been hammering this and nothing's happening. But I might be reading your question wrong. Early phases. Yeah, do the dream journals, bro. You'll find it. Yeah, that's my suggestion. I mean, it can be an extra, a bit of work to do, but you can take dream journaling really far if you want. If you're time poor, if you haven't got a lot of time up your sleeve and you don't want to sit there and try and speculate on what your dreams might mean, Oh, you've just started a couple of months back. Ah, okay. Yeah, just keep cracking it, bro. I'm, from what I hear, that 60 skills course is pretty much one of the gold standards of today's as far as relatable Western mystery school content goes, especially in the Barden arena. But yeah, the dream, just rock a dream journal, man. I mean, you can even write it in your Magick journal if you want. Up to you. I would say anything that I say, don't have too many masters on these paths, because I've had that as a guitar teacher. I had one kid coming to me from another teacher because he was getting, he was doing college music, or I think high school music. He was about 15 anyway. He was doing it for his exams and that. But the problem is that the teacher was sending him to me because if they were doing music as an exam, like as a qualification, whatever, they had to have a private music tutor too. So this white guy was being sent to me, and he said, I need you to teach me these things like this. And so I'd be teaching him my way of doing the thing that his other teacher was. But the other teacher was saying, no, I don't want you learning it that way. And I'm like, and he's like, well, you told me to go see another person. He's like, well, tell him to teach you like this. And I'm looking at this going, this doesn't make any sense, You're just better off to have the one teacher. I mean, I helped the guy out as best as I could, but there was a bunch of other factors involved as well, And so, if you're going to supplement with other things, I would say talk to your main teacher and go, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Because you don't want to be, blocking yourself from progress. But if you started a couple of months back, there's going to be some value, bro. Surely, you want to nail that out. Find out the value that you're experiencing and jot it down and go, okay, da 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 da. But with the dream journaling, if you talk to Bob and he's like, yeah, no, that's cool, just whatever. You're not necessarily trying to figure out what the dreams mean. It's just another feedback monitor that's a lot more sensitive to being affected by the practices. It'll give you like if I sit here and try and no and make my phone float. I mean, I just don't practice levitation, that type stuff. So I'm not going to get that straight away. But if I start practicing Qigong and start spending time floating myself in the field in the bubble, whatever, then I go into my dream environment. I can't float myself off the ground and levitate using Qi. Okay. But what I can do is straight off the bat anyway. But what I can do is that when I'm in the dream environment, I put my hands down and suddenly I'm Iron Man and I can fly now because I can push against the ground using the feeling of the Qi. And that's what I found, because I tried to fly in my dreams for ages and I never had any success. But once I started really getting to Qigong and really feeling how to push it, and almost like Tai Chi, where you're focusing on the stretch and then finding the tension point where the astral winds get traction with the facial sails, if you will, the fascia, and go, oh, there's the tension there, and you can just about push yourself off the feeling of life force. Then I was able to start pushing myself off the ground in the dream environment. And that, my friends, is one of the reasons why that Mark Erasmus stuff is so worth checking out, because if you get some Qigong down, I'm sure 60 covers it too, and 60 skills. But, if you like playing with dreams, awesome. But you'll notice your dreams change because, whatever it is you're trying to achieve in life, if you're dead set on it, it will be reflected in your dreams, and it will pick up on things that maybe fall out of your line of sight or out of your purview, and it can bring your attention to things that maybe you're missing. Because there's an honesty in the dream environment where it's a lot more blunt, I guess. It's not trying to, it's not blunt force trauma, but it's not sort of, it's not trying to traumatize you, because you will have some freaky dreams in your time, as I'm sure you've had. I've had some dreams that weren't nightmarish, but because it wasn't in a nightmarish scene or anything. But man, when I woke up, it was like, well, that was a pretty full-on experience. It was just like a normal everyday scene, but it was about how I felt about it. It was an emotionally charged reaction to the dream. It happened in the dream, and then when I woke up, it carried through. But yeah, you'll find that the dreams are, because, some teachers will talk about, they're just, a lot of it's just housekeeping and it's not really useful and valuable. There's ways to make it useful and valuable, but just like how we practice all the stuff in, initiation into Hermetics or whatever, These are tools that we can leverage, and we can discover the value through using them. And that's why we do them. Because a lot of the value isn't going to be, Barden mentions it in the book, but a lot of this stuff can't be intellectually sort of conveyed to people or verbalized to people. A lot of it's purely experiential. And then you've got to try and figure out how to relay that back down to the bro on the street, and say, he's like, man, how's that meditation going? Oh, bro, I found this Hermetics book, man. It's awesome, man. I can really understand it and it really sings to me. Oh, so what can you do and stuff? And it's like, well, because people think you're going to be shooting fireballs and, levitating and stuff like that. And it's like, that might be what got you interested after watching Dragon Ball Z or something like that. And you're like, man, I want to get into magic and learn all of this chi stuff and all that. And it's like, it changes you, and you discover, there's value in very subtle things. And I've just found the dream environment to be a very valuable feedback monitor, because it's going to give you information and angles and perspectives on your life, on what you're running towards, what you're running away from, things you're attached to, unhelpfully. Sometimes it's going to be literal. Sometimes it's going to be really symbolic. Look for colors, guys. Colors are a really great way, Things that might be scary might be black. Things that are really, really holy and pure and all that might be white. Sometimes things are black, but they're not actually scary. It might start out as black and then it turns to white. Sometimes things start out as white and they turn to black. It's gonna make it relatable. You're gonna see universal type. You're going to see universal type symbols too. That's why the Dream Dictionary has some value. Don't write it off, man. Like, I don't use a Dream Dictionary, but I've been through it, several of them. There's one called, I think it's dreammoods.com. I'll throw a dreammoods.com, put a thing up here, dreammoods.com. It's that's an online dream dictionary. And that's really good because it breaks it down lots of different ways. Now, every explanation or description of a dream symbol might not relate to you. I've got a friend who's got a book that he got from someone, and he just swears by it, which is great. I'm happy for him. But he's basically saying, this book is the ultimate, you don't need any other book. And I'm looking through it, and it's got, a dream symbol, and it's got a short description. I'm like, well, that might be appropriate for some people, but my relationship to that symbol might be different. Like I said, the yellow umbrella, that might, in the book, an umbrella means this, but if you got beaten with an umbrella as a kid, you're going to have a whole different relationship to that symbol. And the dream poet will recognize that because it knows your backstory, right? It's going to use familiar, relatable symbols, people, places, situations, events, feelings, colors, cars. You might be riding a bicycle in one dream, a motorcycle in the next, a car in the next, a van in the next. You might be in the passenger seat, the driver's seat, in the back seat, in the boot. You might be driving forward, backwards. There's all of these sorts of things that are relatable. The car is analogous to the house in a dream. A car is, you're driving the car, or are you being driven? In a house, it's a similar thing, the house has different rooms in it. The kitchen might be for creativity. The lounge might be for fun and recreation. The rumpus might be for work. The bedroom might be for intimacy or relationships or for rest and these types of things. And so, I remember having a dream where I'm in the kitchen and I've got a whole bunch of colors in the frying pan and I'm playing with them. I mean, I'm a practicer of Barden's Kabbalah, so of course I would. And then there was some other things that went on because it wasn't just showing me cooking them. There was other things going on because sometimes you might get suggestions, but you got to vet all the information. Because I've had some people, I guess you call them that, some visitors in my dreams, and some of them have been really interesting, and they weren't dream characters. Like, you get to know the dream environment and what the usual suspects are. The usual dream environments. Some of them are just, like I said, garden variety dreams. And sometimes they're super vivid and they're super long and there's heaps going on. But when you're recording them, guys, my suggestion is just to take some brief notes, keep it real simple. If you want to expand on the fragments and do dream recall work, that's got some real benefits too. But it's the difference between a sentence, a few words, a sentence, and a paragraph. Small, medium, large. And I would say that when it comes to this kind of work, I would say medium should be plenty. This is what happened. Just note down the important symbols, take some bullet points. If you want to run through the whole objective scenario, and you want to frame it in the first person too, okay? This is important because this helps with lucid dreaming. I'm in a room. There's a light flashing, not I was in a room. There was this light flashing. Make it in first person, present tense, in the positive. And that way you can cover a bit of territory all at once. I'm pretty much giving away my whole dream course here. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I will package it up to be a little bit more succinct though, I think. But yeah, if you guys have got any questions or comments on the dream stuff, please let me know. Just throw it in the thing. I've got to disappear in probably about 10 minutes. Please go to my Substack, philrice.substack.com. Give me your email address. You don't have to pay anything, but we can stay in touch direct. Trying to sort of want to help people kind of migrate away from their reliance. Not you guys. You guys are probably fine. But YouTube has far too much control. And if I leave, I can't take you guys with me. Or if they kick me off for whatever reason, I can't, we can't connect. That's just the way it is. So, although I think I can probably download your usernames, but in Substack, if you give me your email, we can stay in direct touch. And there might be some exclusive goodies that come through too. And you can also sign up for a $5 a month. I think it's $5 or $6 a month. Just basically a support for the channel. Why not? Got $5, throw it in there. You don't have to do it regularly. I haven't got any exclusive content on there at the moment. I've been sort of steering away from that. I just want to make stuff, and if you guys enjoy what I make, then maybe you just give your online village monk some alms for a bowl of rice. I do eat bowls of rice, believe it or not. It's actually one of my daily meals. Okay. All right. So. And of course, guys, oh my gosh, if you don't mind, if you like playing a bit of a game, and yes, this one, it's not a fighting game, but you can have some nasties happen to you. The Ascension, the Immortal Alchemist, there's a free demo now available on Steam. Search for Immortal Alchemist, and you can download that. I think it's about 2.5 gig. And there's an actual demo level, and then there's a training level as well. So and it's going to be out there for a limited time. But yeah, it's looking pretty sweet. And some people have already been reviewing it on YouTube. And so you can see some reviews, and there's puzzles. It's exploration and puzzles. There's a time limit. There's a voice in the background giving you clues. There's symbolism, like occult symbolism around to help guide you and help you solve the puzzles. A lot of them are basically correspondence puzzles. So that's quite fun. And, you learn how to run and jump and duck and roll and these types of things. So, it's not an easy game, but it's the graphics are stunning, and the environments are beautiful, and the player character's buff and pretty capable. And so it's quite a pleasure to play. So, yeah, please check that out. And, thanks to Violet Flame for sponsoring this month's live streaming software. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. They're obviously the ones making the game, which I have a little bit of input to as well. So thank you. And we've got a comment. What do we got? Oh, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you, Doug. Thank you. That's really helpful. I think this is a comment from the topic of dreams. Glad you took some value from that, Sigma. Yeah, I'm on Telegram as well, guys. If you're on Telegram, I put memes, I put more regular update stuff on there than I do on my Facebook. Like I said, I want to put some treats on these alternative platforms, because that'll draw you over there. Because some are easier to get onto than others. At Phil Rice Internal Arts. Okay, You don't have to put capitals in. I'm just putting them in there because it might be easier to read. But I put stuff on there that I don't put on my Facebook or anywhere else. So if you're on Telegram, Phil Rice Internal Arts, I've got a channel on there. I think I've got about 70 people hanging out there at the moment. Beautiful bunch of people, practices, people interested in the topical material. I put memes on there. I don't often share memes, but I like to put memes on there. Like I do a bit of work. I sit down and I have a scroll through the phone and steal the memes and I put them up on Telegram. And hopefully the artist will put their deets on there. I can put that up there too. But it's more of a hub for sharing things and my activity as well. And there's some things that make it on there that don't get there via anywhere else as well. So, yeah, so cool. But anyway, hey, guys, I'll be around for another few minutes. If anyone's got any more questions, comments, or anything they'd like further extrapolation on, let me know. I've been kicking it now for about 3.5 hours. This will be one of my longest live streams ever, and it's in 2 parts because I got snapped out after the first 2 hours. I've got to figure that one out. It's been the weather's kind of weird here. We're getting this really beautiful weather, and then it just goes real nuts, like rainy. All of a sudden, it's like there's an old TV show. What's it called? Robin of Sherwood. I think it's Robin of Sherwood. It's an old UK TV show. It's really good. It's the theme songs by a band called Clanard, and it's quite iconic. But there's this one scene where they're playing out the I think it's about the equinox and or it might be the solstice. I can't remember. But they're doing this tug of war, this medieval type tug of war, a symbolic representation of summer and winter. Who's going to win, and because that's what's kind of happening. The seasons are changing, and so you get one day it's freezing cold, the next day it's warm. We get really weird weather here in Auckland. Auckland's on a strip of land with 2 big bodies of water on either side, and so you get it here. Okay. Thank you, Heather. It's always a pleasure to see you here too, sister. I appreciate you, and you're always very positive, and you've always got great stuff to share. And I'm always grateful to see you on here, sis. And and it's cool. We've got a group of regulars starting to show up on the stream. Maybe it's to do with the material, maybe it's to do with a bit of me and how I deliver information. It's very helpful actually because I get to know, how to be better at explaining things with having sort of a good supportive network. So I get better at being a teacher or an instructor or an explainer or a talker about things, a talker of things, by having people out there asking questions to pull the answers through the best that I can. And if I don't know, I'll just say, I'll do my best though. So thank you, Heather. How did you find your life purpose? Oh man, what a question. Oh, right before the bell's about to ring. Okay, I'll touch on this real quick, Doug. Okay, how did I find my life purpose? I have to say I've had several, and I might even have some more coming up. But right now, man, I don't know what it is, man. I've been in corporate working with trucks and diggers and salty dudes. That was like my real physical world exploration. Working with these are hard bastards, man. This is diesel mechanics. Mining equipment, forestry. I was a parts guy, so I spent most of my time at the desk. But I'd sometimes go out on site to the mines and to the forestry stuff and to get some work experience. I was about 16 or 17. It was pretty full on. And then I became a music teacher. I got burnt out in work, and then I became a music teacher, and then I got burnt out and a musician, I should say. I became a musician, then became a teacher because that's a good way to make an income as a musician. And then I got burnt out as a teacher and as a player. And then I started just exploring meditation, and then I started having experiences. That was it. I recall, and I'll just be quite candid about this, but when I was about 17, I remember I smoked a joint for the first time. Or I got stoned for the first time. I don't think I got stoned off the first joint. I think it was like the second or third one. And I'm closing my eyes and I'm having this really trippy experience. And I started hearing music that I'd never heard before. And I was like, wow. And then I just kind of forgot about it. And then years later, when I got into meditation, I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, I'm just going to close my eyes and watch. And I started watching what was happening. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember doing this as a kid when I got stoned once. And that's when the experiences started happening, because I just wanted to sit back and just watch what happened, because I was having other experiences too. But when I did that, and that's step one in Barden's book, it's just watching your thoughts rise and fall away. You're just sitting there watching your television screen, essentially. You're on a TV. And it just sort of fostered things. And then, I went to this Bruce Lipton conference, and I met this young Austrian dude, and he turns out to be a guy who's done a lot of world travel, done a lot of martial arts training, trained with Rabutko from the Sistema system. He's done. He's at the moment he teaches something called the Force in You. He's online. He's an Austrian dude, young guy. But he got me introduced to empty force and Russian contactless fighting, but he got me into healing. He gave a healing demonstration on my friend who had a migraine, and I thought, wow, here's something I can do something with. And so, I'm a healer. I don't know if that's the right word, because what it started off was with physical issues, and then people started getting emotional releases, and then they started having experiences, and now it's become more shamanic, And I figured out how to sort of set up a good environment conducive to people having, valuable visionary experiences. I can do a 5-minute healing or a 10-minute healing on people, and I like to do that because, sometimes you can't get people to get on a table for an hour, and to be fair, there's things you can, if you want to make a living as a Reiki teacher or practicer, as a healing practicer, if you want to call it that, it's not everyone's, some people need to come back for multiple sessions. And if you're paying the rent with it and you can only see 3 or 4 people a day, you got to charge a reasonable amount for your time. And not everyone can afford that for a migraine or something like that. They can just go and see someone else. It depends. Not everything works for everybody. And some people are more receptive to this stuff than others. But I'm a teacher. I'm an explorer. I'm fascinated by these topics. I've done public speaking. I've been a musician. I've been up in front of people. I've got a confidence in articulation. I'm still working on my articulation, and I enjoy getting good at it. And I'm grateful for you guys being here because it helps me become better at what I am. So you guys showing up and supporting me, however you do that, whether you share the video, whether you like, subscribe, sign up to my Substack, throw something in the PayPal, or, pay for a Substack subscription or support the channel. Basically, it means I can do more of this stuff. And I'm trying to encourage more of you guys out there too to consider starting your own channels. That's how I did it. I just started a channel and started talking, and I thought, well, interviewing people, you want to get some content up, and then you start interviewing people if you want. That's quite a different field. It's like the difference between being a performing musician and being a teacher. They're quite different. They are related, but they're quite different. But that's a good way to grow an audience, is to interview people, because people will find your channel and they'll subscribe to you through their watching their other person. But the purpose, I'm definitely here to sort of talk about meditation and magic and that. But, giving people direct personal experiences, that's what I'm in for, man. If we can have an objective shared experience, I don't know, there's something really satisfying about that. And that may just be stroking my ego, but I get a lot of confirmation on this. I don't have the kind of, when I was a musician, especially in the early days, man, I was really overweight and full of myself. Still a nice guy, but I was full of myself. And, look at me. And I've managed to pretty much sort of dissolve most of it, not all of it. It's still there a bit. It's actually, I think, helpful to have a little bit of that because, we're in an age where, attention spans are, for some, are predominated by the engagement factor. So, yeah, there's lots of people that want the stuff, if it might be something I'm saying or someone else is saying, and sometimes they've got to hang in there for a couple of minutes. Yeah, I'm just trying to be myself. That's all I want to do, I think that's a good life purpose. It's just to figure out how to be yourself, be natural. Naturalness is a great word. But yeah, hopefully that was of some value to you, Doug. But yeah, just keep doing the practices, the stuff that 60's got laid out. Clarity will come. There's a lot of things I thought I was supposed to be doing that didn't end up happening. I know I'm supposed to be on here as I don't know if I like the word, but influencer, because I think about these casts afterwards and go, was that the best? Where could I have improved upon? So I appreciate your guys' comments and after the fact as well. You're most welcome, Doug. I appreciate you being here, brother, and I appreciate you bringing your questions forward. And just grateful for that. So unless anyone's got anything else, I've got to go and put my pants on. I am wearing pants. I've got to put a different pair of pants on. Actually, I'm wearing jeans. No, I can wear these. And I've got to go for a walk up the road and do a couple of things. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. It's nice to show up and not play to an empty room. Having people show up means a lot, even after the fact. But these lives are great, you know. So I've got some new stuff coming. I've got some more interviews coming. I've got some of my own stuff coming, some more instructional stuff. I want to try and infuse a bit of fun and I don't know, because practice can be a bit of a slog, and you know, the Barden stuff can be a bit dry. You know, doesn't mean it's not intriguing, but I think there's a way in a modern context things can be delivered to help you get, you know, really look forward to your practice. So you're like, you know, everything else almost gets in the way. Like even, you know, watching TV or even eating your favorite food or playing a game or something. You know, you want to go and practice, right? That's what I want to do here. I want to help you guys, you know, nourish that muse, you know. So thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm sorry it's been a while. I haven't been on all this week. I'm going to remedy that. But yeah, please sign up to my Substack. Consider throwing something into the arms bucket. I've got to do another round. I've got to find another sponsor for my live streaming software, or you guys can help me out. I'd rather put it back on you guys if you can. If not, that's fine. I'll find a way. I always do. But I will continue to stream, even if I've got to have all the free version logos on here. Love you guys. Stay well.